You know, you have been told your entire life that hard work is just the absolute, unquestionable prerequisite for success.
Right, society just drills it into us from day one.
Exactly. I mean, the overwhelming majority of the messaging we receive basically dictates that if you want to achieve something grand, you have to bleed for it.
You have to sacrifice.
Yeah, but what if the sheer act of trying hard, that frantic, desperate pushing, is actually the exact thing keeping you stuck?
That is such a heavy question, but it's so important.
I mean, think about an artisan or builder trying to construct this generational enterprise. You know the type.
Oh, absolutely.
Or hey, maybe you, listening right now, are the type. They're waking up long before the sun, working themselves to the bone, just pouring an endless tide of effort into their craft.
Literally fighting the fabric of reality every single day.
Yes, and yet the rewards they reap are just a mere fragment of their grand vision. They feel completely trapped.
Like they're pushing against walls they can't even see.
Right, they're begging the universe for a break, for some profound shift. And what do they get in return?
Just a silent echo.
A silent echo. I really want to unpack this today because I know that feeling intimately. Why does intense, agonizing physical exertion so often yield such hollow, stagnant results?
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It's maddening. Like, why does treating our goals like a wild animal we have to physically wrestle to the ground only seem to guarantee that they escape us?
Well, I mean, it's the defining struggle of the modern creator.
Yeah.
We operate under this collective assumption that raw, brute force is the only currency that matters.
The only way to pay for success, basically.
Exactly. But if we examine the underlying frameworks of human behavior and reality, the physical exhaustion you're describing, that frantic pushing against invisible walls, is actually a glaring symptom of a profound internal misalignment.
Misalignment. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, we are taught to treat the external world as an adversary to be conquered, rather than a reflection to be understood.
Oh, wow. A reflection to be understood.
Right. Our conversation today is designed to completely flip that paradigm. We're looking at a precise, step-by-step, psychological and philosophical blueprint for materializing an internal vision into a tangible external reality.
And we are not talking about, like, trying harder or working longer hours?
Not at all. The most crucial thing to understand from the very beginning is this. This process is not about forceful acquisition.
Okay.
It's an exercise in internal resonance. It's about aligning your internal state so completely with your goal that the physical manifestation becomes an inevitable byproduct, not a hard-fought victory.
I really appreciate that framing. I mean, moving away from forceful acquisition immediately takes the immense pressure off.
It changes the whole game.
It really does. It moves the spotlight away from how many hours we're grinding and puts it back on our internal architecture. So let's start at the absolute foundation.
Let's do it.
According to the concepts we're exploring today, the first principle is absolute clarity.
Yes, absolute clarity.
Now, the way I translate this into practical terms is by looking at the brain's reticular activating system, or the RAS. It acts like a cosmic archive or a massive filtering system.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Right. Every potential reality, every opportunity around us possesses a unique signature. If I go online to buy a simple kettle to boil water, and I just type, "give me something for my kitchen," into the search bar,
You're going to get a mess.
a complete mess. The system is going to return a chaotic, overwhelming array of useless options, or it just freezes and gives me nothing because the parameters are entirely too vague.
Exactly.
The human brain operates the exact same way with our goals, doesn't it?
It is a perfect biological analogy. The universe and your own neurological filtering system requires crystalline specificity,
Crystalline specificity. I like that.
because a vague request inherently yields a disjointed, chaotic reality. Consider the most common trap people fall into: the desire for more wealth.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants more wealth.
Right, people constantly operate with this generalized ambient desire. But asking for more wealth is universally misunderstood by the mechanisms that govern our reality.
So?
Well, think about it. If you acquire a solitary coin, more today than you possessed yesterday, technically, your generalized request for more wealth has been fulfilled.
Oh, man. Yeah, technically you do have more.
The parameter was met, but experiencing that feels like a mockery of your true ambition, doesn't it?
It feels like a joke, like the universe is laughing at you.
Precisely. Because the subconscious mind does not process broad strokes or vague concepts like better or more. It processes exact, specific targets.
Okay, so you have to be literal.
You have to cultivate a crystalline specificity to lock into the correct resonance. It's exactly like trying to find a specific broadcast on a radio dial. Being somewhat close to the frequency is not going to give you a clear signal.
You'll just get frustrating static.
Exactly. Pure static.
Okay, so that means saying I want a promotion or I want to be happier in my relationship is the equivalent of tuning into static.
Oh boy.
We have to define the exact parameters of the reality we want to experience. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because this is where my logical brain starts to throw up red flags.
Sure, let's hear it.
If I get intensely specific about my goal, saying I want this exact job title at this exact company, aren't I inherently limiting my freedom?
That's a very common fear.
Because if I define the outcome so rigidly, aren't I trapping myself in a tiny box and ignoring other potential opportunities?
That is precisely where the friction happens for most analytical thinkers. It highlights a critical nuance that trips up an overwhelming majority of people.
Okay, what's the nuance?
There is a massive difference between defining the destination and dictating the path.
The destination versus the path.
Yes, the destination must be specific, yes. But demanding the method of its arrival is a fatal flaw.
Oh, I see.
You must define the what with absolute clarity, but you must surrender the how completely.
Right, right. But how do we actually separate those two in the real world? Give me a concrete example of keeping the what, but dropping the how.
Okay, think about an individual seeking a profound, life-altering romantic connection.
Okay.
They do the internal work and define the what beautifully. They specify the shared values, the mutual respect, the emotional warmth, the lifestyle compatibility.
Which is excellent clarity.
It is. But then they let their anxious mind take over and they decide the how.
They try to control the delivery.
Exactly. They insist that this profound connection can only be forged by attending a specific social gathering, or through a particular group of friends, or they refuse to look anywhere other than their immediate workplace.
So they've locked the door to every other possibility.
Precisely. Or consider an entrepreneur who desires an endless tide of financial stability, but demands it must flow entirely through one single, highly specific product they just invented.
Right, like this specific widget is going to make me wealthy.
Exactly. By dictating the how, you are aggressively closing off a vast constellation of infinite pathways that could easily deliver your desire.
Wow.
Our limited conscious perception cannot possibly calculate the most efficient route. When you force the method, you shift from a state of infinite potential to a state of finite, suffocating limitation.
That makes a lot of sense. You're saying we need to tell the system exactly what the new kettle looks like, its color, its capacity, but we have absolutely no business telling the delivery driver which roads they're allowed to take to bring it to our door.
That is a brilliant way to put it. The REIT is none of your business.
If a road is closed, they'll find another way, provided we don't lock them into a single path.
Let's take that a step further. The route is not just none of your business. Obsessing over it actively introduces anxiety.
Oh, totally. You're just constantly tracking the package.
Exactly. Your domain is the precise selection of the reality. The delivery mechanism operates independently of your micromanagement.
Which brings us to a massive, imposing hurdle.
Okay.
Let's assume we have our crystalline specificity locked in. We know the what's, and we have genuinely surrendered the how. We then hit this incredible psychological roadblock, the chasm of conviction.
Yes, the chasm.
Because the intensity of your desire has to perfectly mirror the intensity of your internal conviction. Because as we're seeing in the research, our subconscious mind operates on a very strict calibration of normality.
Right. And here's the biological reality behind that roadblock. The subconscious mind is, at its core, an ancient survival mechanism.
It just wants to keep us alive.
Its primary directive is to keep you safe. And the passage of eras of evolution have taught it that safe equals familiar.
Familiar even if it's miserable.
Exactly. It creates a baseline of what is normal based entirely on your lived experiences up to this point. So if an individual is accustomed to navigating a gentle, trickling stream of resources for their entire existence,
Like living paycheck to paycheck.
right, experiencing constant scarcity, and suddenly they demand the immediate materialization of a roaring, boundless ocean of prosperity,
The system freaks out.
it triggers a massive subconscious rejection. The brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, lights up like a siren. The alarm bells go off because change, even positive change, is perceived as a threat to the established baseline.
Completely. The gap is simply too vast for the mind to accept as an absolute, unquestionable truth.
It's just too big of a jump.
The subconscious views this roaring ocean of sudden wealth or sudden massive success not as a blessing but as an alien, potentially dangerous disruption to its hard-fought equilibrium.
Man, that's wild. So it's protecting you from your own dreams.
Yes, and this biological resistance is exactly why the popular advice of just believing in your dreams is wildly insufficient.
Oh, this was the part of the framework that completely rewired my thinking, the insufficiency of belief.
It's a hard pill to swallow for some.
Because we are inundated with inspirational quotes telling us to just believe. But this perspective argues that belief is actually an incredibly fragile state of mind.
It is fragile because the very concept of belief inherently contains the seed of doubt.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, if you say, "I believe it will rain tomorrow," you are subconsciously acknowledging the very real possibility that it might not.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Belief implies a gap between you and the truth. You are hoping for something outside of yourself to validate you.
So what's the alternative to belief?
To truly align with a new reality and bypass that survival mechanism, one must transcend belief entirely and step into a state of absolute knowing.
Absolute knowing.
You don't believe you have hands. You simply know it. You don't believe the sun will rise in the morning. It is an integrated fact of your reality.
It's just a given.
That is the level of unshakable, neutral conviction required.
Okay, but let's be practical here. I mean, if I'm standing by my gentle trickling stream of an income, how do I possibly cultivate the absolute, unquestionable knowing of a roaring ocean without my own subconscious mind laughing me out of the room?
That is the ultimate question.
Right. I can't just lie to myself and say, I know I possess endless wealth when I'm looking at a negative balance. The actionable step here seems to be about gradually building internal fortitude.
Yes, gradual is the key word.
Instead of attempting to leap across a massive canyon in one giant bound and falling to our deaths, what if we just step across a narrow creek first?
That is the precise mechanism for bypassing the subconscious alarm system. You have to titrate the exposure to success.
Exactly. So you focus your intention on a materialization that feels entirely within the realm of unquestionable certainty.
Something that doesn't trigger the alarm.
Right. If the boundless ocean of wealth is a 10 out of 10 on your personal scale of impossibility, you find a goal that feels like a solid 2. You aim for a slightly wider stream, something you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you can navigate.
And when that physical reality arrives, it establishes a brand new baseline of undeniable success.
You're slowly, deliberately stretching the horizon of what your subconscious accepts as normal. You're building up a tolerance to success, almost like building a muscle.
You're incrementally updating your brain's software without triggering the firewall.
I love that. Updating without triggering the firewall.
And as you perform this gradual stretching, you are slowly bridging the void between desperately wanting something and naturally having it, which leads us to an incredibly delicate internal operation.
Okay, what's that?
We can call it the practice of vibrational possession.
Vibrational possession. This is where the mental gymnastics really demand our attention.
It requires a lot of focus, yes.
Because the core concept here is that the very act of declaring that we want something instantly and permanently confirms our separation from it.
Exactly. Wanting implies not having.
Right. If I'm constantly gazing at a destination, talking about how much I desire it, I'm sending a clear signal to my brain and my reality that I am not residing within it.
You're broadcasting lack.
But I have to push back here on behalf of everyone listening. How can a person genuinely cultivate a feeling of having an abundance when their physical senses are screaming that they are in a barren landscape?
It's the hardest part.
I mean, if my bank account is overdrawn, or I'm going through a deeply painful period of isolation, sitting around in my living room trying to feel like I already have endless wealth and perfect companionship it feels like toxic positivity.
It does.
It feels like I'm just lying to myself while my life burns down.
I understand that friction completely, and it is the most common reason people abandon this work.
That just feels too fake.
It feels like a delusion, because we have been rigidly conditioned to believe that the physical realm is the ultimate real-time arbiter of truth.
Right. Seeing is believing.
But we need to introduce a different perspective. What if the physical realm is merely a delayed echo of your internal realm?
A delayed echo, like seeing the light from a distant star?
Exactly. That's a beautiful way to think of it. When you look up at the night sky, the starlight you were seeing right now was actually generated a passage of eras ago.
Because it took that long to travel through space and hit your optic nerve?
Yes. The star might not even exist anymore, but you are still experiencing its historical light. Your current physical reality operates on a similar delay. The circumstances you are standing in today are the delayed physical echoes of your past states of consciousness, your past decisions, your past focus.
So my current bank account is just a reflection of my past thoughts.
Precisely. If you wait for the external physical world to change before you grant yourself permission to let your internal state shift, you are forever trapped in a reactive loop,
Because you're continuously reacting to the past.
which ensures you just keep recreating more of the past. To construct a fundamentally new future, you must cultivate this vibrational possession. You must internally possess the reality mentally and emotionally before it can ever echo into the physical world.
But how do we actually intercept the harsh reality of our current physical situation? When I look at that empty bank account, the very first thought that hits my brain is terror.
Of course it is.
It's pure lack. It's a cortisol spike of fear. I can't stop that biological reaction from happening.
No, you cannot. And attempting to suppress or shame that first chaotic thought is a massive waste of your vital energy.
It really is exhausting fighting yourself.
That first thought is an involuntary reflex.
Yeah.
It's a biological reaction triggered by the delayed echo of your physical surroundings.
Yeah.
But this is the absolute secret to personal sovereignty.
Okay, I'm ready.
You do not control the chaotic arrival of the first thought, but you exercise ultimate sovereign dominion over the second thought.
For second thought.
Yeah,
So basically, we're talking about overriding our brain's default stress response.
exactly.
Let's walk through the execution of this. The first thought comes in. I am completely out of resources. I am going to fail. That's the involuntary reflex, the amygdala doing its job.
Right.
The second thought is where we pivot.
That is where your agency lies.
Yeah.
You consciously and meticulously rewrite that narrative the moment you notice it.
Just immediately.
The instant the spike of fear arises, you intercept it. You don't fight it, you replace it.
So what does it sound like?
You shift from, I am lacking and I desperately need to attain this, to, I am profoundly grateful to already reside within the reality of abundance.
Even if everything around you says otherwise.
Yes. You are not denying the fact that your current physical circumstances are challenging. You are simply refusing to let them dictate your emotional state.
Oh, I see.
You are shifting your primary focus from the delayed echo of the past to the vibrational possession of the future. This mental pivot, when performed consistently rather than sporadically, is the literal spark that ignites structural neuroplastic change. You are carving new pathways.
It's akin to rewriting the code of a computer program while the program is actively running.
Exactly.
Which transitions us perfectly into understanding the language of emotion. Because this is not just about reciting empty affirmations in the mirror.
Definitely not.
You can't just chant, I am wealthy, while your heart is racing with panic. Our subconscious mind, as we've established, is incredibly stubborn. It's completely deaf to logic.
It doesn't care about your spreadsheets.
Exactly. You can't debate it into submission with rational arguments. And interestingly, it's largely deaf to immense, grueling physical effort, too. Its native tongue, its primary programming language is emotional intensity.
If we look at the psychological architecture of trauma and memory, we see this principle everywhere.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, consider how a single intensely negative life event, a moment of profound fear, an accident, a sudden heartbreak, can instantly and permanently rewire a person's entire worldview.
Like PTSD.
Right. The individual doesn't need to experience that car crash 1,000 times for their subconscious to accept that driving is dangerous.
Because it's a one-time thing, but it's massive.
The sheer emotional gravity of that single terrifying moment sears the new belief into the foundation of their being immediately. The brain prioritizes intense emotion because it equates it with survival.
So learning and rewiring is a mechanism of emotional intensity, not just rote repetition.
Precisely. Now, the methodology here is to apply that exact same biological mechanism to the opposite polarity.
Flipping the script.
An intensely positive emotional generation, cultivating a state of serene confidence and profound gratitude regarding your fulfilled desire, can permanently lock in a new internal baseline without the need for endless, mind-numbing repetition of affirmations.
Wow.
You are utilizing the mind's own mechanism for rapid adaptation, but consciously directing it toward prosperity rather than passively absorbing trauma.
I really want to highlight that term serene confidence because when people hear emotional intensity, they often think they need to be in a state of manic, euphoric joy.
Right, so jumping up and down.
Yeah, jumping on the bed, screaming to the heavens. But serene confidence is different. It's that deep, quiet, unshakable knowing. Like, knowing your shoes are in the closet, you aren't throwing a party about your shoes, you just know they're there.
The brilliant distinction. It's a calm certainty.
But maintaining any constructed emotional state requires energy. I like to think of the mind's daily capacity as a finite vessel of power. Every morning we wake up with a certain amount of cognitive juice.
And we spend it so quickly.
We really do. Now, a lot of people try to do these incredibly complicated, sprawling visualization exercises. They imagine a cinematic masterpiece spanning multiple scenes, changing landscapes, and complex dialogue to try and manifest their goal.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. And they quickly drain this finite vessel. They burn out their mental battery before they even leave the house for work.
That is a very common and very exhausting error. They mistake complexity for effectiveness. The subconscious mind does not require a feature-length film to understand the assignment.
Good know.
In fact, excessive detail often introduces anxiety and conscious strain. You start worrying if you imagine the color of the car correctly, or if the conversation in your head sounded natural.
Oh, I've totally done that. Wait, do they wear a blue shirt or a red shirt in my vision?
Exactly. That anxiety immediately kicks the brain out of the receptive, flow states the alpha and theta brainwave frequencies, and forces it right back into rigid, conscious beta wave effort.
And beta wave is not where we want to be.
No. Beta wave effort is the realm of problem solving and stress, not internal recalibration.
So what is the precise, practical mechanism for efficient mental imagery? How do we conserve our cognitive vessel's power while still speaking this powerful language of emotion?
You construct a single, highly specific, incredibly brief interaction. One isolated scene.
Just one.
Just one. It should ideally involve a cherished companion, someone whose physical presence naturally evokes feelings of warmth, safety, and absolute trust.
Okay, got it.
In this brief mental scene, this companion verbally acknowledges that your desired reality has already been fulfilled. They congratulate you.
So it's like a 5-second moment.
Exactly. You hear the specific cadence of their voice, you feel the physical warmth of the interaction, maybe a hug or a handshake, and most importantly, you feel the serene confidence of accomplishment within yourself.
Just a few seconds long. And then what? Let's just move on.
No, then you loop it.
Oh, you replay it.
You replay that exact brief scene continuously in your mind's eye. By keeping the scene short and static, you remove the cognitive load of inventing new details.
Because it's the exact same script every time.
Yes, you are simply bathing your subconscious in the emotional resonance of the fulfilled reality. But, and this is the absolute crucial threshold of flow, you must monitor your internal physical state meticulously while doing this.
Oh, so...
You loop this scene only until the precise moment you feel the onset of mental strain.
The exact second it feels like work.
Yes, the exact second it stops feeling like a natural, joyful observation and starts feeling like a chore or a task you have to complete, you must immediately stop.
I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of why we have to stop. It's because pushing past that threshold of effortless flow shatters the alignment, right?
Precisely.
You transition out of vibrational possession and fall right back into desperate wanting. You're forcing the image, which inherently implies to your brain that you don't actually have the thing you're imagining.
That is the exact trap. Effort implies absence. If you possess something, you don't need to strain to convince yourself you have it. The strain itself is a broadcast of lack.
Effort implies absence. That is a profound lens to view our daily struggles through. But let's ground this in the reality of human existence.
Okay.
We wake up, we do this beautiful, efficient visualization, we cultivate serene confidence without crossing into strain, we loop the scene, we feel great,
A perfect morning.
and then we open our eyes, we check our phones, we see a stressful email, we hit terrible traffic, and the daily tide of responsibilities rises up and smacked us in the face.
It happens to everyone.
It feels like an exercise in absolute futility to spend a fleeting moment of the morning in a state of prosperous alignment, only to spend the lion's share of the day steeped in a state of lack, stress, and opposition.
It really is the equivalent of diligently planting a beautiful garden at sunrise and then spending the remainder of the afternoon pouring toxic chemicals onto the soil.
That's a tragic image, but so accurate.
The morning alignment is undeniably vital. It is akin to donning an impenetrable, radiant garment before stepping out your door. It actively programs the mind's frequency before the chaotic external world has the opportunity to dictate the narrative.
You're setting the terms of engagement for your nervous system.
Exactly.
But humans shed this internal garment so incredibly easily. The second someone cuts us off in traffic or a client sends an angry, demanding message, we unconsciously rip off that radiant garment and put our old, comfortable, familiar rags of anxiety right back on.
It's habit. It's the baseline.
We leave ourselves completely exposed to our old nature. So what is the practical solution here? We obviously can't sit in a dark, quiet room looping a visualization scene all day long. We have to interact with the physical realm. We have to do our jobs.
This is where we must introduce the concept of the anchor thought.
The anchor thought.
If the morning visualization is the protective garment you put on, the anchor thought is the thread that keeps it tightly woven together throughout the shifting, unpredictable tides of the day.
I really want to dig into this anchor thought concept because this seems like the missing application for the listener that bridges the massive gap between morning meditation and chaotic, active daily life.
It's the bridge.
So the anchor thought is a single, concentrated line of thinking that implies total fulfillment. It's not a sprawling paragraph. It's a short, specific phrase that embodies the feeling of the end result.
Like a mantra, but very specific to the fulfilled desire.
Something like, I am so grateful for this profound connection in my life, or navigating this boundless wealth is so peaceful.
Yes, it needs to be simple enough to repeat without cognitive strain. It is a portable frequency.
A portable frequency.
Your task is to endlessly saturate your mind with this single thought while performing the most mundane, automatic tasks of your existence.
Like doing the dishes.
Exactly. While you are preparing a meal, while you are walking from your car to your office, while you are waiting in a line at the store. Whenever your mind naturally drifts toward the chaotic echoes of the external world, when you start stressing about a deadline or replaying an argument, you gently, without judgment, pull it back to the anchor thought.
You don't get mad at yourself for drifting.
No, judgment is just another form of resistance. You just gently pull it back. You are actively ensuring that your internal frequency remains unyielding entirely, regardless of the external environment.
So you're maintaining your internal sovereignty amidst external chaos.
That's beautifully said.
It's a process of constant recalibration. You notice the drift and you steer back. And what happens over time when you do this consistently is really a fascinating paradox.
It is a paradox, yes.
Because we are doing all this continuous work to hold the frequency, to loop the scene in the morning, to maintain the anchor thought throughout the day, we are elevating this specific desire above everything else. But there is a hidden danger here, isn't there?
A massive danger.
Because the things we truly possess, the things that are undeniably ours in physical reality, we naturally take them for granted.
We do.
I don't walk around all day feeling profound, overwhelming gratitude that I own a toaster. I just know I have a toaster.
Right, and this brings us to one of the most profound paradoxes of materialization. An overly revered goal, a desire that you place high upon a pedestal and obsess over with awe and reverence, is kept permanently at a distance by the sheer magnitude of its perceived importance.
So ironically, elevating the desire too much actually pushes it away.
Yes, because the act of placing something on a pedestal creates a vast energetic and psychological void between the seeker and the object. You are constantly looking up at it.
And looking up at something inherently means you don't possess it.
It implies that the object is separate from you, and more importantly, that it is superior to you. It is out of your league.
Ah, I see.
When the internal work of vibrational possession is truly complete, the reality ceases to feel awe-inspiring. It no longer feels like a miraculous anomaly that might happen to you one day. It feels ordinary. It feels expected. It feels entirely calm.
It feels like stepping into a familiar, well-worn pair of shoes.
Perfect analogy.
You don't marvel at your shoes every single time you put them on. You just put them on and walk out the door. You expect them to fit. You expect them to support your weight. You don't hold a ceremony for them.
That is the exact normalization required. If you are constantly breathless with anticipation regarding your goal, if your heart races every time you think about achieving it, you are broadcasting to the cosmic archive that this goal is utterly alien to your nature.
Because you wouldn't be breathless if it was normal.
Exactly. You must normalize the profound. You must arrive at a psychological state where the manifestation of your greatest, most ambitious vision feels simply like the logical, boring next step in your personal evolution.
Boring. That's such a counterintuitive word to use for our biggest dreams.
But it's accurate. Normal is boring.
I want to introduce an analogy here because grasping this critical necessity of profound internal relaxation is incredibly difficult when you are desperate for a change in your life.
Please do.
Imagine a vessel floating upon the water. You, the individual, are the vessel, and your internal state of consciousness is the water itself. A destination, no matter how clearly you've defined it with your RAS, cannot be reached if the waters are raging with anxiety, desperation, and obsessive importance.
You'll sink yourself.
Exactly. You will capsize your own ship with your frantic movements. Only upon calm waters can the vessel glide effortlessly toward its mark. Relaxing your grip on the goal is not the same as giving up. It is calming the waters so the journey can actually safely occur.
That is a beautiful and accurate illustration of the internal dynamics at play. And it brings us to a crucial intersection that often causes confusion.
Okay, where do people get confused?
Because calming the waters and normalizing the desire does not mean we simply drift aimlessly on a raft,
No.
waiting for the heavens to magically drop our desires into our laps while we do nothing. We exist in a physical universe, and this is a universe of action.
Yes, let's make this very clear for everyone listening, because this framework can sometimes be misinterpreted as just think happy thoughts and get rich.
It is not that.
Physical action in this realm is mandatory. You cannot bypass the physical laws of exertion and movement. However, the quality and the origin of that action change everything about the result.
Everything.
Action taken from an opposing state of consciousness, hustling while secretly drowning in the fear of lack, is actually an act of self-sabotage.
To truly understand this distinction, we must look at the actual sequence of creation. It is a multidimensional cascade. True, sustainable creation does not begin with frantic physical movement.
Where does it begin?
It begins, as we have discussed extensively, with an altered state of consciousness. When your consciousness shifts genuinely into the reality of the fulfilled desire, and you normalize that feeling, it naturally yields a new, highly refined intuition.
Your internal compass gets a massive upgrade. You start seeing things differently.
Exactly. This upgraded intuition then begins to provide subtle, undeniable internal nudges.
Like what?
A sudden, inexplicable urge to contact a specific individual you haven't spoken to in years. An unexpected compulsion to travel down a different street on your commute. A creative idea that seems to arrive fully formed from the ether while you are washing dishes.
So it's not a logical plan, it's a nudge.
Yes. These intuitive nudges finally culminate in physical action. But notice the fundamental difference here. This action is not forced. It does not require monumental willpower to execute. It is aligned.
It just flows.
It is the natural, inevitable, almost effortless byproduct of a shifted internal state.
Okay, here's where I have to push back again, because we live in a culture that absolutely worships the hustle. We valorize the grind.
We certainly do.
What happens when people just bypass the consciousness work, ignore the intuition entirely, and go straight to aggressive, exhausting physical action? Because if we're being honest, we see people achieve massive things through pure, unadulterated hustle all the time, right? The ruthless executive, the burned-out founder, they get the result.
We do indeed see temporary physical accumulation achieved through brute force. That is entirely possible.
Right, so it works.
But I urge you to observe the hidden cost of that accumulation, and more importantly, observe its sustainability.
Okay, what's the cost?
Taking aggressive, forceful action from a baseline state of survival merely propagates an endless cycle of survival. The artisan from your introduction earlier may eventually manage to build their enterprise through agonizing, sleep-deprived toil, but they will never possess a moment of actual peace.
Never.
They will forever be defending their creation against invisible enemies, constantly terrified of losing it all, because their internal architecture is still fundamentally built on lack and threat detection.
So they get the money, but they keep the fear.
Exactly. Action born from a state of internal freedom is the absolute only action that can harvest genuine, sustainable physical freedom. Aligned action feels like an unfolding, a natural progression, not a desperate battle for survival.
That is a truth bomb right there. Action from survival breeds survival. Action from freedom harvests freedom.
It's a universal law.
That is something the listener really needs to sit with and evaluate in their own life. Are your daily actions, the emails you send, the meetings you take, the projects you start driven by the underlying fear of what you lack, or the serene confidence of what you already vibrationally possess?
A profound question to ask yourself.
Which brings us to our final core concept today, and this is where the entire paradigm we have been discussing completely turns inside out.
It is the ultimate realization of mastery, and it often catches people entirely off guard.
Tell me.
Behind every singular material desire we hold, whether it is the grandest, most luxurious dwelling, an endless tide of financial wealth, or the most deeply cherished human connection, lies a profound illusion.
And elude.
The truth of the human condition is this. We do not actually crave the physical object itself.
We absolutely think we do. I mean, we are convinced we want the specific car with the leather seats, the specific job title with the corner office, the specific partner with certain attributes.
We are entirely convinced of it by our conscious minds. But neurochemistry tells a different story. What we actually crave is the feeling we believe that object will reliably provide us.
Oh, wow.
Whether we seek the psychological security we associate with a massive bank account, the societal recognition and validation we associate with a prestigious title, or the biological warmth and safety we associate with a companion, we are merely chasing an internal chemical and emotional shift.
We want the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin.
Exactly. The physical object is simply the permission slip we are attempting to acquire from the external world to finally allow ourselves to feel that specific emotion.
A permission slip. We are essentially waiting for the external world to grant us permission to feel joy or peace or power. We say, once I get the house, then I am allowed to relax.
But once a person realizes they are solely hunting a feeling, they unlock the ultimate paradigm-breaking shortcut.
Because you can just generate the feeling.
If the actual goal is just the internal feeling, you can cultivate that exact feeling internally right now, completely independent of the external world's permission. You do not need the slip. You have direct access to the emotional state.
And stepping into that realization is the threshold to true freedom.
It is.
When you can generate the genuine feeling of profound security without possessing the endless tide of wealth yet, or when you can generate the feeling of intense warmth and wholeness without the companion present, you achieve ultimate mastery over your experience.
This is the true functional meaning of detachment.
Detachment, let's talk about that word because it's loaded.
It is incredibly important to clarify that detachment is not apathy. It is not giving up on your desires or deciding you don't want nice things. It is the state of being completely emotionally independent of shifting external realities. You become equally whole, equally vibrant, and equally at peace, whether the physical manifestation arrives at this exact moment or if it takes another year.
You are genuinely good with it, and you are completely good without it. Your emotional baseline is secure either way.
Yes.
And here is the grand irony, the final twist of the cosmic archive. Achieving this total detachment, this absolute internal wholeness where you no longer desperately need the thing to happen, is precisely what triggers the arrival of the desire in the physical realm.
It's the ultimate paradox.
Because by no longer needing it to complete you, you've removed all the desperate, heavy importance. You took it off the pedestal. You've calmed the waters entirely. You've become a perfect, frictionless, vibrational match for the thing you desire because you already possess its absolute essence. You are no longer in the way of your own manifestation.
You must genuinely surrender your emotional, desperate need for the outcome in order to allow the outcome to materialize without resistance. You cannot demand the universe complete you. You must find the entire universe within yourself first.
Okay, let's bring this massive exploration all full circle. Let's go back to our narrative from the very beginning. Think about that exhausted artisan again.
The one fighting the invisible walls.
Yes, the builder pushing frantically against the maze, burning themselves out for a fraction of the reward. Equipped with this universal blueprint we have just laid out, their entire reality and approach to their craft transforms.
Completely.
The creator no longer exhausts themselves fighting invisible walls. They stop screaming vague, desperate demands into the void of the cosmic archive. They sit down and define their vision with absolute crystalline clarity, utilizing their RAS to filter out the noise, but they completely and utterly surrender the path of how that vision will arrive.
They let go of the how.
Right. They don't try to leap the terrifying chasm of conviction in one bound and trigger their amygdala. They build their manifestation muscle step by step, normalizing small successes until the baseline naturally shifts.
They practice the daily alchemy of vibrational possession. They understand that they cannot stop the involuntary reflex thought of lack, but they meticulously intercept it and deliberately rewrite their second thought.
The sovereign second thought.
Yes. They pivot into gratitude for a reality they have already claimed internally, acting as the sovereign of their own mind. They understand that their cognitive vessel is finite, so they refuse to waste precious energy on sprawling, anxious daydreams.
Right. No feature-length films in their head.
Instead, they efficiently loop a single, emotionally resonant scene of a cherished companion acknowledging their success. And they possess the self-awareness to stop the exact moment they feel the friction of conscious effort.
They wear their morning alignment like an impenetrable protective garment against the chaos of the world, and they weave a simple anchor thought through the mundane tasks of their shifting daily tide to stay recalibrated.
Beautifully summarized.
They stop placing their ultimate desires on unreachable pedestals, doing the psychological work to allow their grandest goals to become as normal, boring, and expected as a well-worn pair of shoes. Because they fundamentally know that a vessel can only reach its destination upon calm waters.
And when they finally move into physical action, because they still must build and create, it is not the frantic, cortisol-drenched thrashing of survival.
It's the multidimensional cascade.
Exactly. Their profoundly altered state of consciousness refines their internal intuition. Their intuition provides subtle, brilliant nudges, and their physical action becomes a joyful, inevitable alignment with their goal.
And most importantly, above all else, they understand the ultimate illusion of the object.
They know they are the sole generator of their own neurochemical and emotional reality.
Yes. They are perfectly whole with the masterpiece completed, and they are perfectly whole with it still on the canvas. They create not from a hollow space of desperate hunger, but from an overflowing state of complete internal possession.
That is the shift.
And that framework applies directly to you, the person listening to this right now, no matter what you are trying to build or experience. You hold sovereign dominion over that crucial second thought.
You really do.
You are the architect of your own emotional baseline. You possess the absolute power to calm the waters of your own mind. The external world, no matter how harsh, barren, or stressful it may physically appear to you today, is merely a delayed reflection of your past internal architecture.
Like the starlight.
Like the starlight.
Yeah.
You do not have to force the mirror to smile back at you. You just have to smile first and wait for the reflection to catch up.
If we logically accept that the universe strictly mirrors the exact frequency of our internal state, and that our current external reality is merely a delayed echo of our past thoughts and fixations, it leaves us with a profound, almost staggering realization.
What is that realization?
I want to leave you with this lingering inquiry to ponder in the silence after we finish speaking today. If every single thought you entertain, every emotion you actively cultivate, and every intention you focus on is quite literally laying the bricks of your future physical experience, what invisible architecture are you unconsciously building for yourself at this exact second?